Very good morning, brothers.
Good morning, brothers and sisters.
Welcome to BGF.
Welcome to BGF.
This morning we'll be having
a
workshop with Bhante Dhammapala. So there'll be two sessions workshop. One will be in the morning at 10 which is now, and another session will be conducted at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the topic will be on hindrances. And Bhante will be sharing some sutras on it. So before we I would like to introduce Bhante and lead us in the puja and also carry on with his talk. So a short introduction for Bhante. Bhante Dhammapala was born in 1917 in 1994 under the Dhammānupassanā, then the chief nation. He then studied under Bhante Dhammāsakaro. Bhante later spent 15 years studying philosophy, Sanskrit literatures in Sri Lanka and Hong Kong. In 2009, he obtained his doctorate philosophy in Buddhist studies under the Venerable Dr. K.L. Dhammajoti in the University of Hong Kong. In 2010 to 2013, he was visiting professor of the Center of Buddhist Studies in the University of Hong Kong. He traveled frequently, conducting meditation retreats, Dhamma talks in Malaysia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Singapore. And during the recent MCO, Bhante sharing online via Facebook Live. Okay, I'll pass you over to Bhante. Yeah. Thank you. Bhante, you can carry on the puja.
Okay, we pay respect. I think someone have to switch off. Namo. Somehow, Bobby. Should I mute it? Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa arahato sammasambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. Dodiyam people
saranang gacchami dotiyampi dhammam saranang gacchami dotiyampi saranang gacchami tatiyampi saranang gacchami tatiyampi saranang gacchami tatiyampi saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani padang sadiyami adinana veramani padang sadiyami kame acara veramani samadiyami musavada veramani padang samadiyami surame pamadat veramani padang samadiyami. With this of love and I purify my action. With selfless giving, I purify my action. With moderation and content, I purify my action. With truthful words, I purify my speech. With clear mindfulness and calmness, I purify my thought. Sabe sa suki ho. May all beings be happy. I think, Bodhi, you have to somewhere mute your system because you have to mute somewhere. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Bhante, you share your screen.
Okay. So you please mute in.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see? All right. Okay, so we come to the morning session from 10 a.m. to 11:30. So before we start, we shall look at these teachings, wholesome dhammas and unwholesome dhammas. So Nivarana Suttas is deal with the unwholesome dhammas. And these unwholesome dharmas is 5 hindrances. And afternoon session, we will look at another wholesome dhammas, that is 7 factors of awakening. The 5 hindrances are the unwholesome dhammas leading away from nibbana, and the 7 awakening factors are wholesome dhammas leading towards nibbana. So the morning session will deal with the unwholesome dhammas. It's quoted from the Nivarana Suttas. And the afternoon session will deal with wholesome dhammas. Is on the 7 factors of enlightenment or awakening. There's Pariyaya Suttas. And why these suttas are selected for our sutta reading today? If you know 4 establishment of mindfulness or 4 foundation of mindfulness, you will know there are 4 types of establishment of mindfulness. They are the contemplation of the body, contemplation of the feeling, contemplation of the mind, and the contemplation of the dhamma. And under the contemplation of dhamma, Dhammānupassanā, there are 5 teachings under the contemplation of dhammas. Of these 5 teachings of contemplation, particularly 5 hindrances and 7 awakening factors are to be highlighted in our study. They are to be included under the mental factors, which are the mental qualities of mind, consisting of wholesome as well as unwholesome dhammas, and they are associated with the mind. That is why they are to be studied in our suttas today. If you look at other 3 dhammas, they are in the broader sense of constituents of actuality. They include 6 inner and outer sense bases, 5 aggregates of grasping, and the 4 noble truths. And what are 4 noble truths? They are causes, they are suffering, causes of suffering, they are cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. In Pali, we call dukkha, samudaya, nirodha, and magga. And of course, through the analysis of these dhammas, and what is covered, there is no self-entity apart from their constituents putting together, calling a person or pukkala, and they are impermanent. Okay. Is it okay? Can you hear me? I saw someone say it's still getting the echo. Okay. Now, this morning we are going to read these suttas. Nivarana Suttas is from the Sakya Nikaya 46, Suttas 40. Is from the Bojjhanga Samyukta. It's connected discourses on the factors of enlightenment. And this sutta is called Nivarana Suttas, hindrances discourses. And you look at these suttas, I will put in bracket Pali words for our better understanding of the Dhamma. First of all, we look at Nivarana. Okay, Nivarana is from the root vrt, okay, means to cover. And the ni is a prefix, mean down. It means that cover down, yeah, cover down. So it means that our mind is completely covered or hindered. And so these suttas in brief is talking about that the hindrance, nivarana, cause blindness, leading away from nibbana, whereas the awakening factors, the bojjhanga, caused vision, leading towards nibbana. Now, I shall read the suttas, okay? So we can read together. This one is taken from the Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. Okay, I read. Bhikkhus, these 5 hindrances are markers of blindness, causing lack of vision causing lack of knowledge, detrimental to wisdom, tending to vexation, leading away from nibbana. And what 5? The hindrance of sensual desire, in bracket, kamachanda nivarana, is a marker of blindness. And the second is the hindrance of ill will, bhyapada nivarana. The third, the hindrance of sloth and torpor, tina middha nivarana. And the fourth, the hindrance of restlessness and remorse, uddhacca kukucca nivarana. Fifth, the hindrance of doubt is a marker of blindness, vicikicca nivarana, okay, leading away from nibbana. So these are 5 hindrances. And these 5 hindrances are markers of blindness, causing lack of vision, causing lack of knowledge, detrimental to wisdom, tending to vexation, leading away from nibbana. Now we look at 7 factors, okay? So these 7 factors of enlightenment, because are markers of vision, markers of knowledge, promoting the growth of wisdom, free from vexation. More importantly, is leading towards nibbana. And what's 7? The enlightenment factors of mindfulness, sati sambojjhanga, is a marker of vision. Second, the enlightenment factors of discrimination of states, dhamma vichaya sambojjhanga. The third, the enlightenment factors of energy, virya sambojjhanga. And the fourth, the enlightenment factors of rapture, piti sambojjhanga. The fifth, the enlightenment factors of tranquility, passaddhi sambojjhanga. Sixth, the enlightenment factors of concentration, samadhi sambojjhanga. The enlightenment factors of equanimity, upekkha sambojjhanga, is a marker of vision leading towards nibbana. So these 7 factors of enlightenments are markers of vision, markers of knowledge, promoting the growth of vision, of wisdom, free from vexation, leading towards nibbana. So this is the whole suttas of the Nivarana Suttas on the hindrance discourse. Okay. Now, Buddha, my instruction to you. Okay, look at the slide. And the Buddha says, to the bhikkhus, they said, bhikkhus, a monk should dwell mindful. The word is sati, and fully aware, sampajana. And this is my instruction to you. And in Pali it's called sato bhikkhave bhikkhu viharaya sampajano ayang vo amhakang anusasani. And this verse is taken from the Mahaparinibbana Suttas. And if you look at this short sentence, it contains 2 very important teachings that given by the Buddhas before his passing away. And these 2 teachings are called sati and sampajana, or sampajanya. It means being mindful and fully aware, and which are specifically taught by the Buddha himself in the Mahaparinibbana Suttas, and of course in many other suttas as well. And what are these teachings? Right? So as we are reading the suttas, okay, this morning Nivarana Suttas and the afternoon suttas, let's Nivarana and the Satabojjangas are taught, contemplated, and we are trained to be mindful and aware of the object. And of course, this required great effort in cultivating them. So now we look at the right effort, as we're talking about the right effort, right? And if you know the right effort, right, you know this fourth thing, that is to prevent the arising of unarisen, unwholesome state, and to abandon unwholesome states that have already arisen. So this part is to prevent the unwholesome state of mind, akushala mind. And this akushala minds refer to 5 hindrances. That is to say, to prevent, right, the unwholesome states of mind, such as hindrances, from erupting, okay, from coming up. And the second is the abandoning of the already present active hindrances. Okay. Then you look at the 3 and 4. This is more on the wholesome state of mind, to arouse wholesome state that have not yet arisen. And the 4th is to maintain and perfect wholesome states that have already arisen. It means that the wholesome state of mind, for example, the Satta Bojjhanga, which are untainted by defilements, and particularly they are conducive to the liberation. There are 7 factors of enlightenment that we are going to deal with this afternoon. And it says that in the right effort, the first task is to bring into, being the undeveloped liberating factors. It means aroused, undeveloped liberating factors. And the second is to persistently develop the awakening factors, that has already arisen to its full maturity. And before we come to analyze the 5 nivaranas, we shall look at the Buddha's path of enlightenment, all right, or the path of the Buddha's enlightenment. And the Prince Siddhartha was struggling for enlightenment, and he learned, under 2 great teachers of his time, and practiced alone. And later on, he practiced alone the extreme forms of ascetic practices, for 6 years. While he was thinking how to go ahead, suddenly a memory comes to him. Yeah, this is a passage. It's taken from the Majjhima Nikaya 36. It's Mahasacchaka Sutta. I recall that when my father, the Sakyan, was occupied, while I was sitting in the cool shade of a rose apple tree, secluded from the sensual pleasure, secluded from the unwholesome states, I entered and dwelt in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thought and examination. That is vitaka and vichara, with rapture and happiness, that is piti, sukha, born of seclusion. Could this be the path to enlightenment? Yeah. Then, following on that memory, he came to realize this is indeed the path to enlightenment. Now we look at this path of enlightenment. And this path of enlightenment, it shows is the mindfulness of breathing. That is from the Anapanasati Suttas. It's taken from the Majjhima Nikaya 118, Sutta number 118. And so in the Anapanasati Sutta, there is a reference of concentration, of mindfulness, of breathing. When developed and cultivated, fulfills, okay, the first one, for establishment of mindfulness. In Pali, it's called Cattaro Satipatthana. And the for establishment of mindfulness, when developed and cultivated, fulfill the second one, that is the 7 factors of enlightenment, Satta Bojjhanga. The 7 factors of enlightenment, when developed and cultivated, fulfill the third one, that is true knowledge, vijja, and liberation, vimukti. So 3 points are to be noted here. One who cultivates the mindfulness of breathing, he fulfills 4 establishment of mindfulness, or sometimes we call 4 foundation of mindfulness. And second, he fulfills the 7 factors of enlightenment. That is, we are going to see this afternoon. And the third, he fulfills the true knowledge and liberation. Okay, I will give in general, what are these knowledge? Okay, so it says that when someone who accomplished the 4 foundation of mindfulness and the Sattva-bojjhanga, he will acquire 3 knowledges. And these 3 knowledges are, the first, recollection of his past life, right? And the second is about the knowledge of the passing away and rebirth of beings. And the third is the knowledge of the destruction of the taints or of defilements. Okay? Yeah. If we look at the 4 establishment of mindfulness, okay, and the sutta will start with this. It says, this is one way path, or ekayano, okay, or direct path, ekayano. Monks, for the purification of beings, for the overcoming of grief and lamentation, for the extinction of pain and sorrow, for attaining the right way, for the right direct realization of nibbana, that is to say, the 4 ways of attaining the mindfulness. Now, okay, we look at a general survey of 4 establishment of mindfulness. So, in the practice of the contemplation of the body, there are 6 categories. Under these 6 categories, there are 14 methods of the contemplation of the body. Okay, the first one is anapana, in breathing and out breathing. Abiding by body, no matter what method we used, breathing in and out, right? We apply mindfulness, okay, contemplation, right? Without any attachment to whatsoever object. So, of course, here the mindfulness in and out, is an object of the contemplation, okay, of the body. This is the first one. And then you also have, we look at the second one. It's about the postures of the body. It means that it's a mindfulness of the postures. What are these postures? In brief, it's about the walking posture, standing, sitting, and lying down. Yeah. So it says the training of mindfulness and of the postures focuses on the full attention on the body in whatever position. For example, like when walking, one is aware of walking. When standing, one is aware of standing like that. Okay? So when sitting, one is aware of sitting. When lying down, one is aware of lying down. Or when changing posture, one is aware of changing postures. Yeah. So this is also apply the mindfulness and apply the awareness on the posture of the body. And we look at the third one, full awareness. Okay, full awareness. And it says, how is a monk fully aware? Okay, it says, okay, that when a monk, go for a walking, forward or backward, then he is aware of what he's doing, going forward and backward, etc. Or say like if he's bending, okay, or stretching, he is aware of what he's doing, bending and stretching, etc. Or even when he is eating, drinking, okay, or chewing or tasting, he is fully aware of that too. So The fourth is applying the mind to repulsiveness of the body. So this is what is this? When you talk about the mind repulsiveness of the body, the Buddha teaches to counter, attachment, to the body, especially in the forms of sexual desire. And of course, this meditation is aimed at weakening it. So to start with, takes one body as an object. So you can use visualization as an assistant. Okay, so you can mentally analyze the body into 32 different components and investigate one by one, bringing their repulsive nature to light. And of course, we don't have time to go into these 32 parts, but basically these 32 parts are like this. Very brief one. The first one is like the head hair, the body hair, and the nail, and the teeth, and the skin, etc., etc. Okay. So the fifth one is applying the mind to the material elements. So this is the types of the analytical contemplation, deal with the body as well, but in a different way. And this is a meditation we call the analysis into the elements. And this method is also the mental analysis of the body into the four primary elements: earth, water, fire, and air, right? So for example, it's like, the earth, okay, representing the solidity, you see, and these solid elements represents, the body's solid visible parts, such as organs, tissues, and bones, etc., right? So, when we taught, to analyze the body in this way, then we will realize that our body is in constant change and there is no true self-existent. And the last one is about the night symmetry. This is contemplating the body's disintegration after death, which may be helped either by imagination or with the aid of pictures or through the direct confrontation with the corpse. Okay, so they are altogether 9 means of cemetery meditation. Okay, now we look at the second one. Vedana, Anupassana, is a feeling, triggers latent defilements into activities. So this is the second one. This second one is a contemplation of the feeling. And feeling is an important object of contemplation because it can easily trigger our latent defilements into activity. But we are not quite aware of the feeling. So in a very subtle ways, feeling nourishes the unwholesome state of mind. For example, when a pleasant feeling arises, we fall under the influence of great defilements and we cling to it. When a painful feelings occur, we respond to displeasure, hate, anger, or fear. When a neutral feeling occurs, we usually, generally not really notice it. Then our mind is governed, by delusion. So, from these charts, it can be seen that each of the root defilements is conditioned by a particular kinds of feeling. Greed is conditioned by pleasant feeling. Aversion, hate, is conditioned by painful feeling. And delusion is conditioned by neutral feeling. Now we look at the third foundation of mindfulness. So this is a contemplation of the mind. And to start with, we shall look at the Buddhist conception of mind. Yeah, where is mind? So ordinary people think that the mind is an enduring faculty, remaining identical with self through the cessation of experience. And however, in the Buddha's teaching, the notion of a permanent mental organ, okay, is rejected. So the mind is regarded as a sequence of momentary mental acts and devoid of permanent entity. So in our meditation, we observe the in-out breathing as one of the methods of meditation. However, we all complain that distracted thought, okay, and hindrances come every now and then, and our mind got distracted. So it is the mental concomitants or mental factors that disturbing our mind. Then our mind, the whole mind, got disturbed. And it says in this contemplation of the mind, there are these 16 kinds of mind arises due to the influence of the mental factors. The mind is quite passive at first. Yeah. So when we talk about the purification of mind, Sacitta Pariyodapana, we are talking about the mind is being purified, through the certain methods, of meditation, like samatha and vipassana meditation. And that provides the various kinds of antidotes, applying, to ease the mind from or to remove or to get rid of, the unwholesome mental state, such as greed, hatred, delusion, or the scattered or unconcentrated mind. That is why, the untrained mind is quite passive. It is easily influenced by the different mental factors. Yeah. So there are these 16 kinds of mind that arises due to the influence of different mental concomitants. Yeah, of which some of the wholesome mental state, mental factors making the mind wholesome, like the mind, without lust, without aversion, mind without delusion, or a developed mind, surpassable mind, concentrated mind, and freed mind. So these are the wholesome mind. Yeah. So some are unwholesome, making the mind unwholesome as well. So they are mind with lust, mind with aversion, mind with delusion. You see, the cramped mind, a scattered mind, undeveloped mind, unsurpassable mind, unconcentrated mind, and unfreed mind. Okay, so this, in brief, we look at. Now we look at the fourth. It's a Dhammānupassanā, yeah, contemplation of the Dhamma. And there are these 5 methods, okay, subjects of contemplation. And these 5 subjects are the hindrances. You see, we are going to see this, Nivarana, and the grasping of 5 aggregates, Pancha Upadana Khanda. Okay, the 6 inner and outer sense bases, 12 sense sphere, Ayatana. 7 factors of enlightenment, Bojjhanga. And the last one, 4 noble truth. So you look at, the Dhammānupassanā, the 5 methods of contemplation of Dhamma. We will see today, 2 out of 5, for our studies. One is the hindrances, and the 4th is 7 factors of enlightenment. Okay, I think this one is clearer for you. So the reason why studying these 2 dhammas that are 5 hindrances and 7 factors of enlightenment, I think it's very clear, right? They are the mental factors associated with the mind. It means that the 5 hindrances is a wholesome mind, and another one is the unwholesome mind. All right? And whether they are wholesome or unwholesome, you see, we have to be mindful, right, aware, and they have to be repeatedly contemplated and cultivated. So ultimately, one's abundance, 5 hindrances, and developed 7 factors of enlightenment for the realization of nibbana. So this is in brief. I don't think you can see this, but anyway, what we have earlier, summarized, in this summary. Okay. Now we come back to the 5 hindrances. Okay, the 5 hindrances require special attention because they obstruct the way to celestials and nibbanic bliss. This is what the sutta says. Yeah. And what are these 5 hindrances? Okay, so we remind ourselves. The first one is the sensual desire. The Pali word is called kamachanda. And the second one is ill will, bihappada. The third is dullness and drowsiness, sloth and torpor, athena midda. The fourth, restlessness and worry, or remorse, or dacha kukucha, and doubts or uncertainty, vichikicha. So we shall look at them one by one. Huh? Okay, now we look at the sensual craving, kamachanda. Here is a compound word of kama and chanda. Kama here means pertaining to the 5 senses of sight. Okay, it means that there are 5 types of sense pleasure. For example, like agreeable sights, sounds, smell, taste, and touch. All right? And chanda means delight in or agree with. So the compound kamachanda means delight, interest, involvement, with the world of the 5 senses. Now, for example, when we are meditating and hear, say, like a sound, and why we can't simply ignore it? Why does it disturb us very often? And I remember in one of the Ajahn Chah's talk or books, he said, in his forest monastery, the local villagers surrounding his monastery, they used to hold a party. And when they held the party, they play loudspeakers, and the noise, from the loudspeakers was so loud that destroyed the peace in his monastery. So his disciples complained, to his teacher, Ajahn Chah, that the noise was so disturbing their meditation. Then the Ajahn Chahs, reply, it is not the noise that disturb you. It is you who disturb the noise. You see? So I think it's worth looking into. Yeah, it is not the noise that disturb you, but it is you who disturb the noise. And of course, it is very difficult for ordinary people to overcome the kamachanda because we are so attached, to our 5 senses and their affairs, and whatever we are attached to, we find impossible, to release it. And this sensual desire is interpreted in 2 ways. Sometimes it is understood in a narrow sense, as large, for the 5 types of sensual pleasure. Okay, and the second, that is in a broader sense. Okay, broader interpretation. It is a craving for the sense pleasures. For example, like wealth, power, position, and fame. So this is how, we should, being mindful and aware, even when the sensual desire arises in us. Okay, so here the Buddha's teaching is that bhikkhus, whenever sensual desire is present within him, a bhikkhu understands sensual desire is present within me. Whenever sensual desire is absent from him, he understands sensual desire is absent from me. And he understands how the sensual desire that has not yet arisen within him comes to arise. And he understands how the sensual desire that has now arisen within him is eradicated. He understands how the sensual desire that has now been eradicated will in future no longer arise within him. So this is the Buddha's methods of training, when sensual desire arises in him, you see, and being aware of it. And then this one, you can see that you apply a lot of great effort, into it. And then in the commentary, it talks about the 6th method of casting out the sense desire. For example, it says that taking out the unattractive meditation object. Okay, so as we have seen that this unattractiveness meditation object, there could be, what they call, like you can contemplate on the, swollen corpse, you see, the decomposition of a person who died until finally remains only the skeleton, you see. And in that way, it helps, to cast out the sense desire. And then the second one is application to the developments of upachara samadhi or jhana based on the unattractiveness meditation object. And the third, guarding the sense door. Okay, and the fourth is moderation in food. Okay, so we have to restrain. There are certain food, that give rise to the sense desire, and we have to be moderated, right? And sympathy and support of noble friends, kalyanamitas, and stimulating thought that helps the accomplishment of the object in views. Okay, now we talk about the restraint of the sense door. Here, the Buddhas, in the Anguttara Nikaya, also teaches us. It says, having seen a form with eyes, a bhikkhu does not grasp its mark and feature. Since if he left the eyes faculty unrestrained, bad wholesome state of longing and dejection might invert him, and he practiced restraint over it. And he guards the eyes faculty. He understands the restraint of the eyes faculty. Yeah, so this is a training. So it means that when in meditation, then when sounds come to you, you just be aware and knowing. So now we look at the second one, Vyapada, ill will. This is the second hindrance. And when we talk about the ill will, you also talk about the hatred, anger, resentment, repulsion of every shade, whether directed towards other people or towards oneself, or towards objects or towards a situation. And ill will towards a meditation object is also quite a common problem for people who have been meditating on the breath, for example, without much success yet. And you may sit down and think, wow, this is going to be very difficult. I don't really want to do it. Or I got to be a good Buddhist, and this is what Buddhists are supposed to do. So if you have started your meditation with that kind of ill will towards meditation, doing it, but you are not liking it, then it is not going to work. So you are putting a hindrance in front of yourself straight away. And we look at the Vyapada also, similarly, also it is said whenever ill will is present within him, he understands ill will is present him. So this one requires a lot of mindfulness and being aware that the ill will arises in you, is present in you, or is absent from you, or ill will that has not arisen within you comes to arise, or ill will that has arisen within him is eradicated, or ill will that has now been eradicated will in future no longer arise within him. Okay, so this is the second part. Now we look at the talking about the 6 things helps to cast ill will out. This one is found in the commentary. Yeah, talk about 6 method. So it says that the first one, taking out the practice of loving kindness as an meditation object. That is to say, you have to show the goodwill towards yourself. So to overcome, the ill will, the hindrance, we are encouraged, to do some loving kindness meditation, and give yourself a break and say to yourself, the door to my heart, is open to all of me, and I allowed myself happiness. I allowed myself peace, and I have goodwill towards myself, enough goodwill to let myself become peaceful. If you find hard to extend loving kindness towards yourself, you can ask why. You say, why you cannot develop the loving kindness? Could there be a deep-seated guilt, the complex insight, and that you still expect punishment? Or you haven't given yourself enough, unconditional forgiveness? So the forgiveness is a healing. That's why among our sanghas, is every day we have to ask for forgiveness from each other. And the forgiveness itself is a very good healing. And forgiveness can resolve a lot of old problems and never creates new ones. So you can program yourself to delight in meditation. For example, you have to train yourself. I like meditation. I enjoy attending meditation retreat. Okay, so you can encourage yourself when attending the meditation retreat. You can encourage yourself like, great, I'm attending a meditation retreat. I'm looking forward to it. Or you can even remind yourself, wow, so happy attending such a wonderful retreat. It was so beautiful. And you also can think that attending a meditation retreat, that I will not do anything. What I got to do is just sit down and do nothing else. Yeah. So nothing to do, no email to write, right? No phone call to make. I just only need to sit there and be with my good friend. What is your good friend? That is your breath. So you are showing a goodwill towards yourself. All right? If that is the case, there isn't any slightest bit of aversion. So this is quite. So this is a kind of training. When we attend a meditation retreat, we train ourselves that we are expecting a meditation retreat. So wonderful! It's a meditation retreat. You see. Then the second one, applying yourself to the development of jhana on the thoughts of loving kindness, right? Reflecting on one's action as one's own property. All right, so we should not do it with the Buddha's teachings on the karma. And abundance of wise attention and sympathetic and helpful companionships of the good. And the sixth one, stimulating thought that exists, the developments of the thought of loving kindness and the overthrow of ill will. Okay. Now we look at the third one, right? I think it's about the sloth and torpor. I think I no need to describe in detail because I'm quite sure that you all know, you see, through our experience of meditation. And you see, so what's tina? It's derived from the root te, is to shrink, right? So it is a shrinking state of the mind, like a cock's feather, before fire. It is opposed to virya. And tina is explained as chitta gelanyang, sickness of the mind. One is dullness, manifests as mental inertia. And middha is from the root mid. It means to be inactive, to be inert, to be incapable. And this is the morbid states of the mental factors. Drowsiness seems in the mental sinking, heaviness of mind, or excessive inclination to sleep. So, when we talk about the dullness in meditation, it is a result of a very tired mind. Usually one has to be, usually one that has, that has been overworking, and say like if you are fighting with the dullness, make you even more exhausted. And so the best is to go for rest. So the resting allows the energy to come back, to the mind. But anyway, in the commentary, right, the Buddha talked about, propose methods for dealing with the sloth and torpor. It is in the Anguttara Nikaya 7. So, sorry, let me see. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the first one, when you have the sloth and torpor, don't attain to the perception, don't pursue it. Right? When the drowsiness is there, don't attain to it. You're just aware and knowing that the drowsiness, has come to existence. You nod it, right? If not, then you can recall to your awareness the dhammas that you have heard and memorize it, re-examine it, ponder it over in your mind. So when you talk about the reflecting on the dhamma, that is basically the Buddha's teaching. And that helps to focus the mind, preventing, the mind from drifting aimlessly. And also it's a reminder, of the higher purpose, may have the effect of inspiring us and of arousing our energy and enthusiasm. So what are these, the higher teaching? Like Four Noble Truths, right? Or Noble Effort Path. Or you can give yourself an inner, Dhamma thoughts. Or you can even imagine that you have explaining the teachings to a friend. So I would suggest, the practice of committing this teaching, to memory, and that helps, when we have any of this sloth and torpor, it helps, this effort really, pay off in terms of the mental clarity. And the third, repeat aloud in details the Dhamma as you have heard and memorized it. So this is also the same advice, but here we are talking out loudly. So this is also further, going to prevent us, from falling asleep. Of course, for obvious reason, this method is not very appropriate when you are meditating with others. And the fourth one, if that doesn't help, you can go pull both your ear loops and rub your limbs. So it means that now you move on to the physical stimulation, and it gets the blood flowing, or you can do the yoga stretches, so that helps. And the fifth one, or you get up from your seat, and after washing your eyes out with water, look around in all directions. It's like refreshed, right? So that you won't fall asleep. And the sixth, you attain to the perception of light, develop a brightened mind. And if you have candles, on your altar, the shrine, then you can open your eyes and look at the candle, and you can visualize the light, and you can imagine that you are looking at the bright light. Or if you relax and just notice your field awareness, you may notice that some part, of your experience are brighter than others, right? So you can pay attention to those in order to keep yourself alert, right? So that perception of light, that helps. And the seventh, that is percipient, all right? It means that to have to be aware, alert, what lies in front and behind, right? So you can go for a walking meditation, right? Going backward and your senses inwardly immerse, and your mind not straying outward. And lastly, right, the Buddha says, recognize that sometimes you really just to take a nap. Right? So he said that you probably can recline on your right side, take out the lion postures, one foot placed on top of the others, and mindful, alert, with your mind set on getting up. So before you take a nap, you can remind yourself that you're going to take only for 10-15 minutes. Okay, so then as soon as you wake up, you get up quickly with the thought, I won't stay indulging in the pleasure of lying down, the pleasure of reclining, the pleasure of drowsiness, right? So it means that you are now training yourself to reflect on the valuable life and precious life of a human being. So I wouldn't say indulging in the pleasure of lying down means you can say that we are very fortunate enough, in this life to have met, the Buddha's teaching. So since I have this opportunity, I have to strike hard. So reflecting like this, we will incline less to sloth and torpor and more to the bright awareness. So this is advice the Buddha's given to the Moggallana, and to us, these methods are still very relevant and useful. Okay, and of course there are also some other techniques for dealing with the hindrance of the sloth and torpors. You see, in other places it says that overeating is also make you drowsy. So probably when you feel drowsy, you try to change the postures. Okay, or you can stay in the open, or associate with a good friendship, or stimulating thoughts that helps dispel the dullness and rigidity of mind. Okay, now we look at number 4. Uddhacca kukucca is restlessness and remorse. Now we look at the restlessness. Uddhacca is agitation or excitement which drive the mind from thought to thought with speed and frenzy. You see, when I talk about the restlessness occurs or arises, that is because we are not appreciate the beauty of the contentment. We do not acknowledge the pleasure of doing nothing, right? And we have a fault-finding mind rather than a mind that appreciates what's already there. So the restlessness in meditation is always a sign of not finding joys in what you are doing now. So we have to change our perception in meditation. We can see the breath as dull and routine. We can see it as very beautiful and unique. If we look upon the breath as something new, then we won't get restless. We won't go around for something else, right? So sometimes you may think, I'm not going deep enough. So I have been watching my present moment, for so long, and I'm not getting anywhere. This thought is a very cause of the restlessness. So in our meditation, right, it doesn't matter how the meditation is going to be, right, but be absolute, right, contained with your meditation. Then if you are content with the meditation, right, have joy and peace, then it will for sure go deeper and your mind won't get restless. So if you are not satisfied with the progress, then you are making it worse. So learn to be contained with the present moment. All right. So as the contentment get deepened, then it will actually give rise to jhanas. So now another one is worried. Kukucha is a remorse, over mistakes, anxiety about their possible undesired consequences. So the remorse, according to the commentary, right, the remorse over the evil that is done is also worried, kukucha. And the remorse over the good that is not done, it has the characteristics of grieving over the evil that is done and the good that is not done, right? So I think the story of Angulimala is probably a well-known story. And he was a serial killer. Yeah? And it says that he killed 999 people. The last one, when he killed, he cut the finger, from each of the victims, and put them in a garland and hung them around the neck. And the last one, supposed to be the Buddha's, but of course you cannot kill the Buddha. Instead, the Buddha, asked him to kill him, kill his bad way, kill his defilements. So later on, Angulimala was become a Buddhist monk. And you see, even a serial killer, Angulimala, could achieve the jhanas and become fully enlightened. So no matter what bad things that you have done in your past or what you feel remorseful about, always remember Angulimala, so that you don't feel bad about yourself. So we have to learn to, forgive. It means that letting go of the past, right, is that you overcomes your remorse. Okay, and now we look at 6 things conducive to the casting out of restlessness and remorse. Right? It says that being learned in the Buddha's teaching, questioning, understanding disciplinary rules of Vinaya, associating with those more experienced and older than oneself in the practice of things like virtue, and sympathetic and helpful companionship, and stimulating thoughts that helps the rejection of restlessness and remorse. So there are this, and the last one we see the Vicikiccha. The Vicikiccha is doubt or uncertainty. And of course, usually when we talk about the doubts, it is a doubt with regard to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And of course, in the Majjhima Nikaya commentary, it says that it is called the Vicikiccha because it is incapable of deciding that it is as such. I think regarding the doubts towards the teaching, you should have enough confidence by now, I think, to know the beautiful results that's coming from practicing the meditation. And I believe that you have experienced many of them already. So allowed those positive experience to strengthen your confidence that meditation is worthwhile. So sitting meditation, developing the mind in stillness, especially developing the mind in jhanas, are all tremendously worthwhile and will give you clarity, happiness, and understanding of the Buddha's teaching. So you probably have self-doubt. For many people, you said, no, I can't do this, I cannot meditate, I'm useless, I'm hopeless. So you can switch it other way around, giving yourself positive, that giving yourself, encouragement. You can tell yourself, yes, I can achieve all of these things. And many other people, have achieved them. Why not me, you see? So you have confidence, right? That you can achieve whatever you want. So in the meditation, if you have sufficient determination and confidence, then it is just a matter of time, before you proceed. And of course, only people who fail are those who give up and they cannot see it. So you encourage yourself, right? So it's a matter of time. Huh? Don't always say that I cannot lah, I can't do it lah, you know. So that's very bad. The attitude is very bad. So much doubt, so much uncertainty in you. So we have to, you know, switch to, you know, the positive, you know, from negative to positive. Encourage yourself that you also can succeed it, you know, that other people also can do it. And now we look at last one. We look at the 6 things help to throw out doubts. Okay, it means that, you know, you have to be learned in the Buddha's teaching, right? Or questioning about the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and understanding thoroughly the nature of discipline and being decided about the truth of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, sympathetic and helpful companionship, stimulating thoughts that help dispel darkness. Okay, so my thoughts discussion for today is ended here. So now I leave it for question and answer. If you have any question, yeah, please feel free to ask. Okay. No, you have to on the mute.
Yeah. Thank you, Bhante, for the wonderful sharing, and I see the practical application of the Buddha's advice for meditation, and also a lot of positive psychology being used by Bhante. So there's a question, brother. Can you hear me, Bhante? Okay. Wait. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Bhante, for wonderful sharing. There's a question from Brother Hai Ing. I'll highlight the question here. Everything is from the mind, wholesome and unwholesome actions. How do we manage and tame this wandering mind, apart that it is under pressure from external and internal forces to commit unwholesome actions, especially in our working life or when we are not meditating?
Okay, yeah, very long. I don't really get it, but anyway, I would suggest you, you know, to make an effort, you know, come for a meditation retreat. I know it's very difficult for someone who works, you see, and to spend some time for meditation, but it really helps. If you can spend some time a longer retreat for yourself, you see, like rejuvenate, you know, yourself, you see, so that helps, right? So otherwise, then, like earlier I have said that, you know, the Buddha's teaching advice to us, it means that we can also apply being mindful and awareness to our job, right? Being mindful and awareness to the job. Like when you are doing something, okay, then you are mindful and aware of your job. And when somebody scolds you, okay, you're aware of it, and not that anger, or when someone press you, right? You're also aware of that. So I think the teachings of being mindful, sati, and being aware, okay, my awareness is very helpful in our day-to-day, you know, the practice. It doesn't need, you know, what do you call? Not necessarily, you see, you need to go for meditation. Of course, meditation is very important aspect, but in your day-to-day encounter, associate, you know, with the people, you can apply the mindfulness and awareness to it.
Any more questions from the audience? If there are no more questions.
We finished earlier.
Yeah.
And you can announce our afternoon session.
Yeah, if there are no more questions, we'll end now, and then see you at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay, so thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much. We hope to see you again. And the afternoon one is about, let me see, it's about
7 factors.
Yeah, it's about the Pariyaya Suttas. It's also from the Sarvata Nikaya. So we will deal with the 7 factors of enlightenment. Okay, So if there's not any questions, I think we stop now, and thank you for your listening to the Dhammas. And before that, also we want to share the merit. Bobby, you prepare any transfer of merit, or you want me to lead the merit? Transfer of merit.
Bhante, please.
Okay.
Bhante.
Okay, so you follow after me. Imang mo punya bhagang sappa satanang cha sappa mitanang cha sappa jnatinang cha sabba petanang cha sabba devatanang cha bhajemam sabbe satta Sukhita hontu. By these meditative deeds, may all beings, friend, relative, hungry ghosts, pretas, endeavors share our merits. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so see you this afternoon.